Hey, folks, welcome back to the Rugby Ascended segment of the program here on Chris Wyatt Africa. This is Chris in Monte Carlo. That's right, folks, Monaco, the home of Princess Grace, who we once knew long ago. And once again, with me is Springbok legend Naas Botha. Naas, bad news today coming out of the Springbok camp. What are your thoughts on this anterior cruciate ligament tear on Malcolm Marx?
Yeah, it's sad because I really thought he's been playing extremely well lately. He settled really nicely. I thought, he's one of those guys that were a little bit unlucky the last couple of years, actually playing more off the bench than actually in the starting lineup. And then they settled on the front row, and he did a fantastic job. And it's sad to hear that he got injured during practice. That's even worse. If it's a game, then I think it's a little bit more acceptable. But during training, you never expect things like that to happen. But unfortunately, it is a physical game, and physical contact's going to, sometimes turn up one or two surprises. And I think that's how I can call it. It's a surprise. Is that really going to put a dent on the South African front row? I think Bongi is, he did a good job. I think the big difference between him and Bongi is the little bit of a difference in throwing into the line out. Marx hardly misses his mark. It's always straight. Where Bongi, once or twice he can miss a little bit in the line out, but overall, it's just one of those things, Chris. You've got to accommodate and you've got to work through it.
Absolutely. And what do we fall back on now? Well, it looks like, it seemed a very odd team that they fielded for this weekend. We got 4 scrum halves in the lineup. we've got Kane and Moody playing once again out of position, but he showed he could do that. Damien Willemse moves to fly half, and 14 to 15 starters have changed completely. And what we saw on the bench is Deon Fourie coming in as the backup hooker. Now, he's played hooker before, but it's been like 5 or 6 years since he last played hooker. So right now, our backup hooker is Deon Fourie, whom I'm a huge fan of. So I'd like to see him do well. I guess we're going to reach out, and they're probably going to pull up Joseph Dweba now from the emergency squad. Does that sound like the approach?
I haven't really seen too many reports at the moment. I think we all just wait in anticipation to see. It's either Dwebe or it can also be Visagie. It depends on actually what they're really looking for. I must say, I've saw Dwebe play here in Bloemfontein for the Cheetahs. I always thought he was actually quite good. I actually like the way he played. Visagie, absolutely no complaints if they include him into the squad. So it's the thing is, it's just a little bit of, okay, Bongi is going to take over now the number 1 spot, and that's it. And the rest is going to fall in line. As we spoke earlier in one of the other chats, if you think about it, New Zealand won a World Cup with Donald, and I think he was then rated the number 5th fly-off in New Zealand. So it just shows you. It just shows you. That's what I love, Chris, about the World Cup. You've got to accommodate immediately. It's not like a league. You've got next week to come through, and a week later, and you keep going, and you can recover and come back. It's on the spot. Make calls that can impact the flow of how you worked out your plan, and you need to just take whatever come to you and make the best out of it. And that's why I love things like World Cups. It's once off every 4 years, and that's it. I believe somebody mentioned this morning, it looks like Scotland also lost their hooker this morning. I don't know if you picked that up, but somebody mentioned, oh, it looks like, he's also leaving the World Cup. Not really confirmed, let's say, for sure he's leaving, but I mean, it just shows you we're going to see this during the whole World Cup.
Well, not for me. It's deeply disappointing. I'm a huge fan of Malcolm Marx. I personally think he's the
Yeah,
best hooker in the world right now, and it's disappointing for me, for him, because and for Springbok fans because he really had that position nailed down great. And Bongi is fantastic. He's done it before. He's there, but it makes us a little thin. And hopefully, Dion Free can step up if he's needed in that gap. You know, if Bongi gets tired late in the game, or if there's another injury, God forbid. But the thing for me, and you have a very positive attitude towards this, and that's great, and I love it. You got to have that as an athlete and a competitor. But the thing that's frustrating for me is that you want to see the best players at their best during the World Cup. And we've lost Ramon Ntamak, Paul Willemse for France. Now we're also seeing, I don't know the status of Eben Etzebeth. We haven't heard an update on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Hopefully that's short term. And now Malcolm Marx is clearly going to be out for the rest of this. It's crazy. I mean, we got a little excited because Sia Khaleesi had a remarkable comeback that just it boggles imagination. It defies belief that he came back from his injury so quickly, but he did, and he seems to be pulling it off. But now Marx is out. I don't know that this cripples the Springboks. I don't think that's the case. Some people are panicking. I think it's next man up, and the next star gets to shine. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's always, when you look at injuries, it's sad for the player that's getting injured, especially Malcolm Marx, because I thought he was exceptional in the last 18 months, the way he played. I think he proved it. That's why he started getting the starting role. I thought at certain stages in the last 18 months, he should have started in any case. But Bongi, as you mentioned, rightly said, did an excellent job. That's why I say, it is. It's different personalities, different ways of maybe approaching games. But I think at the end, you realize you're part of a World Cup squad. You're one of 23 guys, and whenever you get selected, doesn't matter how your ranking is on that given day, you the number one, and behave like the number one. And I think they all understand that, and that's the way you need to approach it. It's another opportunity for a guy to say, okay, I've got a great opportunity to come and show South Africa I can be a fantastic, not replacement because he's part of the squad, but I can be a fantastic number one for South Africa.
Well, Nats, it's as I said, next man up. Another chance for someone to shine. I'm not shy about it. I'm a huge fan of Dion Fourie. Of course, I'm a Stormers and Province fan. Sorry about that, Nas, but anyway, so Dion Fourie was brought on the squad as a utility player, and clearly that's a role he's going to have to fill now, moving around in different spots. It looks like that's going to be the case going forward. Here's a chance, I think, for the oldest ever Springbok debutant. He was the oldest ever person to don the Springbok jersey for the first time, and well-deserved, in my opinion. Of course, I'm very biased. I'll be upfront about that. And now, in his first World Cup, he has a chance to shine more quickly than might have been the case.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, I thought a couple of years ago he really should have an opportunity. But you see, the thing is, and that's the fascinating thing about sport is, Chris, let's say you the number one player now in the US. Okay, you're the number one fly off. You're number one, and you're playing 10, and you're playing for 10 years. You know how many other number 10s there are in the US that just never get an opportunity to play because you play. And that's the hard part of sport. Sometimes you just get guys, they hang around for 10, 12, 15 years. The Dan Carters, Andrew Mertens, Grant Fox, Rob Andrew, Johnny Wilkinson, you name them. They hang around for 10 years, and that means nobody else is playing during that time. And that's the hard part. And I thought years ago that Dion did more than enough to play for South Africa. Why he never played for South Africa, that's an open question. Sometimes I gather in the past somebody might have had a little bit of an attitude. He's too small to represent South Africa. We've heard that before. You're too small, or you too this, or you too that. where I really thought a couple of years ago when he played for Western Province and the Stormers, he was absolutely brilliant. He's one of the best guys turning the ball over when it's on the ground. He's really a fetcher next to nothing. So he gives you extra. That's the thing that you need to look at. What can he give you more than what the number two should give you? And he's one of those guys. He just gives you a little bit extra. So firstly, I'm glad he did represent South Africa, because I believe he would have been really or it would have been really unfortunate for him not to represent South Africa, because he was good enough. But now he's at the World Cup, and he already proved to me in the past. Forget this World Cup. In the past, he's more than capable, more than capable. And I'm telling you, if you talk about a tough cookie, that's a tough cookie. And that's why I've got absolutely no problem with him. And be careful. Be careful. Before you know, he might be the starter. It depends. The most important thing is he is definitely a little bit smaller. But I think the pack as such is in such a form at the moment that if he slots in at number 2, I don't really think it's going to make a major difference in our way we're scrumming. And one thing is for sure, he's giving you that little bit of an extra edge to be an extra loose forward, especially with the ball on the ground. And we know you need that while playing.
Well, Naas, no, that's a couple of players there, that come to mind, that are always described years ago as too small for their position. Cheslin Colby, hearing about Kurtley Arendse now, but Kurtley Arendse packs a surprising punch when he takes players down. But Cheslin Colby is like a Mack truck running into people. He just takes people down. And of course, Deon Fourie, he brings something extra. He brings enthusiasm. I don't want to say attitude, because that's the wrong idea, but he definitely brings the energy when he's on the pitch. Watching him with the Stormers and Province the past 2 seasons has been nothing but an absolute delight. But there are players that, because there's so much quality, so much depth in some national sides like South Africa, that you see them come up, they put on the green and gold, and then they're gone, but they're still players. I mean, the guy that comes to mind for me that I think has been done hard on and should have been in more caps is Jan Serfontein. I think he should have got a lot more caps as a Springbok, but again, that's just a personal view. But you do see players, because the talent level is deep or whatever reason, they don't get enough caps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a number of guys. I think at one stage, some coaches absolutely went overboard with this size thing. I think they absolutely killed the game, because size does not replace skill and smartness and intellect. But I think some coaches really believe that. And see, the thing is, Chris, when rugby turned professional, a lot of coaches went to the NFL, as you know. Okay. And they went and they checked. And in NFL, gym work is actually quite a major part of your preparation. Okay. But you play for 30, 40 seconds per play. And then you take a break. And then you wait for the next call. And then you play for 30 seconds, and then you play. And that's how a 60-minute game can turn into a 3.5-hour game. Rugby is a different ball game. You play for 80 minutes with a little bit of all the stoppages lately, and the TMO trying to be important, and the ref telling his grandmother he's going to be on TV, and every second call he turns out and say, listen, show me the TV and whatever. They're wasting a little bit of time. So suddenly an 80-minute game becomes a 90-minute game, or a 92-minute game. And that's a little frustrating, because, yes, you are on TV and everybody's going to see you. Just do your job and get it over and done. And that's the thing that was quite annoying for me to hear, that if you can't bench this much, you can't play rugby. Excuse me, rugby is about passing, catching, making the right decision at the right time, putting the guy next to you in a position that's better than the position you are in. It's totally different. And I was fortunate enough to be involved in both games. So I know it's a vast difference. But a lot of rugby guys went and try and follow the NFL. That's why you get even guys talking about a playbook in rugby. And now in American football, you know how it works. You've got 4 opportunities to move the ball 10 yards, and then you've got maybe another 4 opportunities to move the ball 10 yards. In rugby, you can have how many plays sorted and set out. If you don't win the line out, there's no second, third, fourth phase. That's how simple it is. If I say, okay, we're going to do this, then we're going to do that, then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do that in rugby, and the first guy knocked the ball on, it's a turnover. That hasn't happened in American football. American football, I can throw it to you, and you can knock it on. I get the ball again. We start again. Rugby doesn't work like that. So, and I think that's where a lot of coaches seriously lost the plot, and they followed. I want to say the wrong sort of let's call it mentality towards the game we love. And the game we love is it accommodate all sizes, it accommodate smartness, accommodate skill, it accommodate fitness, because you need to be able to play for 80 minutes. I want to say sometimes very close to, not really non-stop, but you always have 75% busy running and whatever. When you get an intercept, you can say, yes, that's 100% runner, but 90% you work at 75%. It's totally different. It's totally different. And that's why, I love it to see a guy like Don Fourie bringing something different to the ball game. Bring something, yes, he's small, but he can win the ball. Colby is small, but he steps left, right, center, and you keep tackling each other, but you never get to him. Little things like that. Kick into space, not just down the throat of the opposition. Outsmart them in the lineouts. Scrum is one of those things. You can physically harm me in a scrum, legally in a scrum. Otherwise, it's really, who's smart on the pitch on the day, and then there's so many different components that we can add on, and we can just keep talking for weeks and weeks about this game that absolutely fascinates us.
It's a brilliant game, and I don't think you could say any better than you did, Naas. Rugby is for everyone. Everyone can play rugby. You just got to have the right skills, the athleticism. Doesn't matter your size or who you are. Now, so bottom line assessment on the Malcolm Marx injury. I'm taking from your comments that the Springboks are going to be okay. Next man up. They're going to get the job done. Is that your assessment?
Absolutely up. That's just the way it is. You can't look at it in any other way. I feel always sad for a guy getting injured. It's never nice, but unfortunately, it's an opportunity for the next guy to step in and to take over and say, okay, boys, we will all miss Malcolm. That's absolutely true. But we just need to move on. We've got a game on the weekend, and that's it. And you've got to accommodate all your problems and solve the problems. You can't dwell on it. You need to just move on. And I don't think South Africa is the only team that is going to face guys with injuries. Just on a quick one, we spoke about it. I'm still amazed with the red card and the punishment on the red card of Tom Curry. I think it's an absolute joke. But somebody saw something that I think you and myself missed. Or let's say 8.2 billion people missed, but not 8.2 billion people actually watch rugby. But I mean, somebody saw something that I didn't see, and I think, you didn't see, but it's fine. England, there they are. There's the guy. He's fit, he can play, but he can't play for 2 games, So they also need to accommodate another player, and whatever we say, I love the way Tom Curry play. I think he's really a great loose forward. But they're without him, and you just need to move on.
Well, yeah, no, I guess you and I weren't in the bunker, Naas, so we didn't see what they saw in the bunker. Like I said, when that broadcast, I was doing it live, I did tease one of my viewers because he was an England fan. I said, oh, it's a red card, obviously, but I clearly didn't believe that. But anyway, no,
Yeah.
it's clearly they saw something in the bunker that we didn't see. I don't know what that was. But speaking of next games, and we have a game this weekend. Tonight, it's France and Uruguay. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
Namibia is playing New Zealand. Can we get a little preview? What do you think tonight? It's probably a bit of a shellacking for Uruguay, but they've earned their spot. But this is a tough get for them. I mean, they played really well in Japan in 2019, and they earned the America's #1 slot. But this is going up against #3 team in the world that was the #1 team just a few months ago.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to, and we had this chat, is the way I love the way you say Chile, Chile. We say Chile, you say Chile, you know. But also you always say, if you ask anybody any direction in America, they say down the road. Okay. And down the road can be 30 miles, but it's all down the road, you know. So
that's true, Nats. You're correct about that.
so what I want to say is I hope we see from Uruguay what we saw from Chile. Okay, they really came out. They produced the goods. They showed they belong in the World Cup. They were absolutely magnificent the way they played. Of course, they're going to lose. What do you expect? You know, you're supposed to lose against France. If France can't beat Uruguay, they can't win the World Cup. That's a simple reality. Okay, that's the way I look at it. Okay, so they're not going to. Of course, they can, but I mean, they're not going to beat France. Okay, but the thing is, if they can just come out and really prove to the world, listen, we know how to play rugby. Yes, we do. Not that they still believe they can win tonight. Absolutely correct. That's why we play the game. You should believe that. But I mean, you know, come out, show that your lineouts, your scrums, your first phases, your second phases, your backline, your kicking game is good. Then everybody will appreciate your attitude and your effort. And that's all that we can say about a couple of newcomers. Same with Portugal. Come out and show the world. Listen, you know, give us more opportunities. And we spoke about that also. Give us more opportunities against the big dogs. And one of these days we have quite a bot. But if you don't give them opportunities, they're always going to be the minnows. And unfortunately, that's where I say to you, after this World Cup, I hope somebody is catching a wake-up call and we start getting calls that's good for the game.
Absolutely. So tonight's game is a 9 o'clock start. That's the same in South Africa as it is here in France at 9 p.m. France, Uruguay. And once again, I'll be calling that game on Rugby Ascendant for those who want to watch my play-by-play and color commentary while you've got Super Sport on. Or for those who don't have Super Sport and just want to listen to it like a radio broadcast, I'll be doing that. Tomorrow, I'm flying to Bordeaux, Naas, for the 2 games this weekend. And in the evening, I'll be covering New Zealand, Namibia. I'm a Velvichas fan, so that's going to be similar. And we won't get into the preview on that. We can save that because we're going to talk about tonight's game later. And then on Saturday, I'll be at Samoa versus Chile in Bordeaux. And then on Sunday, it's the Springboks in Romania. I'll be at that game as well, and then flying back to Nice afterwards. So I'm not sure how your schedule looks. If you want to get together after tonight's game, you want to wait till tomorrow morning. But if you want to get together after tonight's game while it's fresh, you just let me know, and we'll sort it out, and we'll talk about tonight's game.
Yeah, you can phone me anytime, man. I'm going to watch the game in any case. If you want to do it quickly tonight, we can do it. And then we can just keep going. It's good fun for me, really, and it keeps me busy and making sure that I actually do watch the game with a little bit of intent, to make sure that I don't miss anything. Because the way we've been discussing the games is, we don't want to make mistakes and we don't want to miss something. So I'm looking forward to tonight, and I believe everybody else is also looking forward to tonight, and I believe the people in Uruguay, everybody there must be looking forward to tonight and say, "Come on, boys, let's go and show everybody that's in France and around the world that loves this game. We can play this game at a high level."
Well, Nasa, what I have to say about all this, our conversations, is I'm really enjoying them too. They're lekker conversations, really, really enjoying them. And I've gotten incredibly awesome amount of feedback from viewers privately, and also posting on our videos. People really enjoy the conversation back and forth between the two of us. And I got to say that obviously, you're a legend in South Africa, but it's pretty clear that people still love you. You're an endearing character for many South Africans, and I just wanted to share that with you. And then I got a question for you, and see if I don't mess up my Afrikaans. Praat nie Afrikaans nie, maar ek verstaan. So my question is jy die naweek in studio?
No, I'm not. I'm not working on this World Cup. So I actually do enjoy the way we're working. That's why. It gives me a great opportunity. So it's nice to talk about the games.
All right, Naas, then we'll chat later tonight after the New Zealand and Uruguay game. Bye-bye, Donkey, for your time. I appreciate it, and we'll chat later.
Looking forward to the game, and then we'll talk a little bit later.